A changing world. Many people who grew up years ago remember times before the internet, before the world became so small. Well, many of us have had careers, lives, everything shaken up by these changes. A lot of us have had to change jobs, change skills, uh, make a lot of adjustments in order to conform and to try to succeed in this changing world. Um, it's not easy for most because we are all, in our human nature, creatures of habit, um, creatures of what is familiar. Um, we definitely cling to those types of concepts. Even the markets, when you talk about supply and demand in markets, they are very heavily affected on certainty and uh, what people know and what people are familiar with. Um, one thing we need to be ready to do in a changing world is to always evolve. You know, when you think about it, changing and change as a concept is one of the things that humans struggle with. It also depends on your perspective. If the current system or the current formula is working for you, maybe the change that you may seek would be how to increase or how to get better or how to make more. Um, if the change in the system is not working for you, you might seek change in order to topple the system that you are unsuccessful in. But one thing is for sure, change is inevitable. Change is a part of our history. Change is a part of world history. If it wasn't for change, many of the conveniences of life would not be. Many of the achievements that these conveniences have created the platform for would not be possible or available. Conforming to this change is where wisdom comes in. Sometimes uh, you do want to cling to what is familiar. Sometimes you do want to embrace change. Each situation takes wisdom, which is the guiding force in change. Say, so we can do our thing. You know, one of the biggest changes that has hit America has been the realization that, to a certain extent, the world has caught up to America in many, many categories. Um, it's unfortunate that as American citizens, it's very hard to get a real analysis of where we are in the world, so that we can properly adapt to this changing environment. Um, Competition is not necessarily a negative. Um, if you don't want competition, then competition is a very big negative. Uh, but America has had a ramp up in tragedies, disasters, terrorism, political instability, budget instability, and overall, the American people are having a hard time changing and adapting to change because we're having a hard time getting true analysis. Who can deny that winning is better than losing? But do you know it's very hard to win if, even in football, let's use football for example. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches ever to coach football. Uh, One of the things that he would do uh, was he would make sure he would have a coach or a whole staff of coaches assigned to looking at the other player's strategy. There's other coaches that would be assigned for making the week's game plan, for making the year's strategy, for uh, our strategy, assessing our strengths and our weaknesses so that we can make our strategy. And you know what? The opponent changes from week to week. So you may have to highlight different aspects of your strengths for this week. You may have to try to minimize these weaknesses for the next opponent this week. There may be a whole change of game plan all together from week to week. That is exactly what this changing world is. We as Americans cannot be afraid to embrace change. We cannot be afraid to embrace the possibilities of what can be based on new innovations, based on new conveniences, based on new platforms, based on new avenues to win. Tell her wait up. All they say shoot him and I say okay. If you want that bullshit, then I'm like, oh, I don't care what you say. So don't even speak. Adapting to a changing world, that is an adventure. That is something that nobody exactly has a blueprint for, because a lot of your adapting to a changing world is adapting to the unknown. It is adapting to changes that you never seen before, changes and adjustments that the world has never made before. Uh, a lot of times, these things can make massive anxiety and create massive protests, create political movements. These massive changes uh, in society that's never been done before, they often are the catalyst for uh, the rise of things like Nazism, of communism, capitalism, uh, any type of philosophy or ism. Uh, a lot of times it is either a change, a massive change, or a rejection of a massive change. So then the question becomes, is change a problem? Yes. Is change a solution? Yes. Is change a strategy? Yes. Is change a tactic? Yes, it is. Change is such a big concept to it encapsulates so many different strategies. Uh, it is the very opposite of status quo. And you know what? Status quo changes all the time. Nothing stays the same. You're either growing or you're dying. Maintaining anything in nature is a very uh, helicopterish concept. It's very unnatural. Things usually grow or things usually die. But I want us all to get used to the concept of embracing change. Notice that I did not say I want you all to embrace change, because this is something that you have to do whether you like it or not, because the world is moving forward. You have AI, the internet has been with us for 40 years already. You have robot technology. You have people who are actually on strike uh, recently because they did not want robots or AI to take over their job. This is a changing world. Be ready to adapt.